Welcome to
Crazy, right?
a podcast
Be your own person.
for those affected by
Crazy, right?
mental health,
I wanted to just try it.
Crazy,
It's something that I've struggled with for a while.
featuring live improvised music
Now I finally got my head right again.
by your host,
am I right? Crazy,
It feels good to talk about it.
right? Crazy, right?
Dave Asher.
My guest today is Liz Komos. She is a Chicago-based actor and comedian who was born with a physical deformity and chronic illness. Growing up as a square peg in a world of round holes, she developed a passion to live earnestly and with a deep appreciation for every moment. It is her goal to create more access and awareness for others to express their true selves through art, while also bringing light to the world with comedy. Liz, thanks so much for joining me here today in my studio. I'm going to step over here to my piano. I think my first recollection of really getting to know you was backstage before a show at an improv festival. We probably knew each other prior to that, but that was the first time I got a real sense of an impression of who you are. Does that ring true to you?
I remember you from taking a musical intensive workshop during the IO Summer Intensive.
Ah, okay.
And that's how I remember you. That's the first time I met you. But probably the first time I had an impression of you was before a show in the green room at IO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're an improviser.
Yes.
And would you relate to me, Liz, a little bit about your first experience with improv, the first time you recall seeing it or doing it?
I will go with the story of doing it because I tell this story often, but I think it's an important story, so I'll keep telling it. I was given a gift certificate to try an improv class after being diagnosed with early stage cancer, and I was terrified. I was never somebody that wanted to be seen or wanted to be on stage, and somehow taking an improv class, while terrifying, I ended up there, and I found that creating art with other people allowed me to really express myself in a way that I had never done so before, that I was always afraid of.
Was there something about receiving a diagnosis of cancer that influenced your confidence about being seen?
I think so. Going through something and not knowing what was going to happen. I was very early in the diagnosis when I started the improv classes, so I wasn't really sure what my future was going to be, and I didn't really know what stage I was or anything like that. And so I think in improv, we're taught and trained to leap and enjoy the fall and see where we go. And there was something about going through that I just had to have faith in whatever was going to happen in my future and trust that I was going to be okay. And those two things coincided at the perfect moment.
Do you teach or direct improv or produce improv now?
I do. I produce a couple shows in the city. One of them is a disability variety show, and another is a performance program for students at one of the theaters here in town. I also am available for directing and coaching, and I love sharing my passion for the art of improvisation with other people.
So your passion for improv came to you in the most powerful form as a result of doing it, getting a diagnosis of cancer.
Yeah.
And how long ago was that?
I was 31, so it was about 4 years ago now.
And are you in remission from the cancer?
I am. I had to have a hysterectomy, and that was very liberating in a weird way.
Is that liberating in some ways because of there's now... you're off the hook for children?
Yes, I think it's liberating in the sense that it's I'm giving over mothering. I'm a very mothering sort of person. It's my nature. And I remember the morning of my hysterectomy, I was going into surgery and I thought to myself, this is the time that the only person I will ever parent is me.
How would you say your history with self-care has been? Has there been a time in your life when you were, one might say, neglecting your self-care?
I think I cycle through having a healthy relationship with self-care. Growing up having a disability, it was very much like I had to take care of myself, otherwise things would start to fall apart, either emotionally or physically. So I learned early on that when I don't take care of myself, I lose out. Like things hurt more or I'm more stressed, and then the cycle sort of snowballs. But
when was your first, how old were you? You were born with this disability, this, I believe you referred to it as a deformity, is that fair?
Yes, it was a birth defect.
You were born with a birth defect. Can you recall the first moment when you were aware of this as a child?
So I do. This is one of my favorite stories. I was in first grade, and I think I was 7 years old. I got held back a year because I missed so much school due to having multiple surgeries. And I used to wear those plastic leg braces, and I was taking off my braces and I was putting them in my locker, and some kid came up to me and starts laughing and pointing at them, and he's like, "What are those?" And I was like, "These are my AFOs." And he's like, "I don't know, what is that? Like, what is that?" And I was like, "Don't you wear these?" And he starts laughing and he's like, "No, I don't wear those. Like, nobody wears those." And it was the moment that I realized I was different. And I'm so grateful that I didn't realize it until I was 7. But it was a moment that I knew that other kids weren't the same as me. Their bodies were different than my body.
And how was your relationship with your parents growing up? How did they relate this to you? And what was your sense, either at the time or looking back, as to how your parents were with respect to you in this situation?
They were so encouraging of me in the sense that they told me I could do and be anything. My dad always wanted me to go into the military, and I was like, "Dad, I have a disability. They're never going to accept me." And he thought for some reason there'd be a workaround. And my mom always told me when I would have moments of crying and being upset and feeling different, I would ask her why, like, why did this happen to me? And she would tell me that our soul would choose our path in this world to learn a lesson, and that in every adversity there lies a seed of greater benefit, and it was up to me to water it and to turn what I experience into something beautiful, into a garden.
Would you say that religion and or spirituality, and you could clarify which, if so, has religion or spirituality continued to play an important role in your life?
It has, definitely spirituality. I not so much, I grew up Catholic, and I don't prescribe to Catholicism anymore, but I do believe that there is a greater design, and I have full faith in my experiences in the world now, that they have purpose and meaning, either related to the future or to the past. It's an ambiguous, vague answer.
It's an answer that sounds very rehearsed. Not that it is rehearsed, it just came out so very thoroughly and completely.
Yeah, it's definitely not rehearsed, but it's something that I think about a lot, that I think that what happens now is connected to things that have already happened that I just haven't experienced yet.
Do you have a vision in terms of spirituality, or that connectedness that you were talking about, and being on a path, if I'm digesting that again, it was so concise that it threw me off a little bit. It's fair to say that you feel like your life has an important purpose, is that correct?
Yeah. When I was little, I can't remember how old I was, but I remember telling my mom, "I'm gonna be big." And I didn't know in what way, but I just always felt like I was destined to make an impact. And it felt very grandiose and almost like egotistical. And then I realized that maybe there's nothing wrong with wanting to be impactful.
Do you have anyone who you look up to, of people who have inspired you along the way for techniques or tactics to make an impact?
I think this is going to sound cheesy and trite, but everyone that I meet is impactful to me. So I think I try to look at every interaction as something to learn from. So I spend a lot of time thinking about the people that I meet and the conversations that we have and the reasons why we've crossed paths. So everyone is my answer. I look up to everyone.
I think that's wonderful. I try and view that for myself as well. So, you mentioned as we were talking before that your partner and you are parting ways. Is that something you're open to talking about?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
How did you and your partner meet?
We actually met online. I created an online dating profile when I was 21 years old to help a friend of mine in college write articles about online dating because it was very new then. And she didn't want to go on the dates. So I would go on the dates and then she would write about them.
And what was the courtship like? Was there a lot of messaging? Was it straight to the point?
Yeah, well, it turned out that he recognized my brother in one of the photos that I had posted online, and he went to high school with my brother. So very quickly we went from kind of we're going to chat and share an email or two, to talking because I did research and called my brother's friends, and I got all the scoop and whether or not he was someone I should date.
And it sounds like that was over 10 years ago.
Yeah, we were actually together for 13 years.
And you mentioned that y'all are parting ways.
Mm-hmm.
Is there animosity there, or is it just a relationship runs its course and that's the way it goes?
I love him very much, and I think that I can't be the person that he needs moving forward. And I this might sound rehearsed also, but I really think out of the deepest love for each other, we helped each other grow and self-actualize in the best way that we could. And the two people that we turned out to be after that process of support and gifting each other time and space to discover ourselves, those two people aren't necessarily the best fit for each other anymore.
So, given that answer, that powerhouse answer of life's purpose and faith and being on a path and spirituality to help people and to make a significant difference in folks' lives. If you were to sing a song, if it started with something along the lines of join me on this journey. And you're welcome to give me a suggestion of a genre. If this was working for you, I can continue this.
I think that's working.
Great.
Ooh, I'm nervous. When you get nervous and you just feel that like clench at the base of your throat.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
That
lie.
just
I'm a little nervous too. I usually don't get nervous with the improv songs. Maybe I'm empathizing with your nerves.
I think you're feeling it. There's heat emanating off my heart center right now.
So you're a comedian.
Yes.
You did mention at some point, you said, well, it sounds kind of cheesy, but,
yeah.
What if we do a heightened version, spoken word, a heightened version of the overwhelming grandiosity that you and I both feel about how we're going to change the world.
Okay. Big plans.
So big, so big.
I got big plans.
So big, so big.
I'm gonna change the world.
Change the world. Yeah, yeah.
One heart at a time.
One heart at a time. Yours next to mine.
Yours next to mine. One heart at a time. I got big plans. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna let you know what I've been through. I'm gonna touch you.
Touch me in a completely non-sexual way. Touch me with some part of your heart and your good deeds. That's right, what are some of these good deeds?
I'm gonna give you a ride
Yeah.
if you don't have a car.
Do you have a car?
I have a car.
Cool, I'd
Do
like
you
a
need
ride.
a ride? I'll take you anywhere.
Well, I'd like to go to pick up a pizza or some chicken. Can I get a ride?
You got a ride or I'll order you a lift.
I would prefer the ride. Sounds like you were trying to put off the responsibility onto an app.
No, I just wanted you to do whatever you were most comfortable with.
I appreciate that show of sensitivity. Really feels like you're trying to touch me.
Non-sexually.
Not sexually.
Not sexually.
Not sexually.
Spiritually.
Spiritual. So how often do you do musical improv? That was great job.
I do it sometimes. I notice so that when I get nervous, I get this clench that's really, it's like it goes from my heart to my throat and it cuts off my voice. So for me, I think musical improv is still that one thing I haven't fully shed the fear from.
Do you feel like, aside from musical improv, are there things that you say you fear? Do you fear anything about your path in life, or fear anything about death? You've obviously faced that already. What would you say, apart from making up a song on the spot, do you have anything that you worry about or gives you anxiety?
I think I just fear trusting myself and letting go. I don't like being attached to things. I think sometimes attachments cause pain. And when I notice that I'm attached to something, I think I fear not being able to let go of people, of concepts, of ideas, of ways that I think that I am or should be.
Could you give me an example of something that you have feared the loss of in that fashion?
I was thinking the other day about my self-image and how I like to think that I'm someone who doesn't worry about my image and how I'm perceived. And yet I had a show opening the other night and I was very much living in my ego of I want to do well, I want to make the other people on this team proud, I want to make myself proud. And I also, the last tagline was, I don't want to embarrass myself. And then I realized that that's such a very egotistical thing because it doesn't matter if I embarrass myself. Most likely if I'm embarrassing myself, I'm having fun. And yeah.
Have you ever felt any shame as a result of your disability?
Yes, so much so. Even to this day, I actually was supposed to go on a date the other night and the person told me they didn't realize that I used a forearm crutch and that was more than they could handle on a first date. I actually think I might cry. It's very emotional for me to have someone tell me that my life is too much for them to even meet me. And I think that that's me responding to my own internalized ableism and also just the ableism of the world telling me that there's something wrong with me, even though I know in my heart there isn't. It's hard not to pick it up for a second and look at it and feel ashamed of the body that I exist within.
Are there moments when you experience letting that shame go?
Yeah, I love to use my body on stage. One thing that I think people will tell me often is that I'm very physical. I do a lot of physical comedy, but that's because I so live within my body. I live within my pain. I live within the absence of pain. I feel my body so intensely constantly that it's my tool. It's my vehicle to create comedy. And so anytime I can use the way that my body looks or the way it responds to make people laugh, it makes me feel like I'm driving the ship. Like I'm driving the car and I'm in control.
Going back to your comments about spirituality and faith, how much do you feel like we can control about our experience?
Ooh.
Or is it we control how we respond, how our outlook to the things that we experience?
Yeah. I think that it depends on the experience, but I think we will have a reaction to a situation relating to the situation of this person choosing not to go out with me. I had a reaction, and that reaction was very much based on my past experiences, maybe even the experiences of my past lives. But it is up to me what I do with that, whether or not I look at that and I pick it up and I hold on to it, or if I choose to let it go and move on to the next moment.
At what point have you always believed in past lives?
No, I haven't until my dad passed away when I was 22, and there was this really bad storm. And I was thinking about him, and I remembered a story of being afraid of static electricity in my bedroom. And I told him there were lightning bolts in my bed because you could see the little light from the static electricity. So the storm was making me think of him. And I looked outside, and there were like 15 butterflies. And I thought, what if he's one of those butterflies? And then I started thinking about the concept of like, does our energy move on? And does it always come back in human form? And now I truly believe that I've lived multiple lifetimes as different animals, maybe as a human in the past, but I feel too connected to the breath of the universe to have this be my first time here.
If you could plot a course for the next 2 years of your experiences here, what would that look like?
I don't plot.
Right.
So I really don't. I sort of try to take each day as it comes. The only thing that I can imagine is that I want to continue experiencing life with open arms. And so I would hope that I don't ever become so closed off or so hurt or so scared that I close myself off to new opportunities. But I don't really plot.
Well, I love that phrase, experience life with open arms. I think we could take us out on a song.
Okay, another one. Here we go.
Life with open arms. Again, we can walk that
with open arms, with open arms, I breathe in. Exhale into you. Live with open arms. Open arms. Oh, that's so bad. With open arms. I hate my voice.
open arms. that become too much my song.
No, I loved it. I was enjoying. Open arms.
Liz, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh boy. Thank you for having me. I can't wait to feel shame when I listen to that.
Thank you again to my guest, Liz Komos. You can follow her on Instagram at her personal page, @Liz Komos. You can also follow her Who Dis podcast at Who Dis Show and whodisshow.com. New episodes are released every Friday on Apple, Spotify, and Google. Liz, thanks again. It's been a real pleasure. That wraps up this episode of Crazy Right with Dave Asher. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider writing a review or rating this podcast. And of course, we would love it if you subscribe. I'm Dave Asher, and I'm glad to be here.
Fall down.